Hi everyone, welcome to Cheltenham Chart episode 2 for the 2023 festival. Today I'll chronicle my views on what's happened over the past 10 days, talk about horses who've run and won or been beaten disappointingly, etc. I'll give you two eye catchers, two very big eye catchers for me over the past 10 days. They're at the end of the video if people want to just fast forward to that, that's fine by me. Like I say, I don't court subscribers or viewers. I just give my view of the horses and how I feel they've run and how they fit into the picture of Cheltenham. But at the moment, when you're building jigsaws for the Supreme, the Arkle, etc., you're only really building the edges, and to create a very solid view at this stage of the season is very difficult, because you may have seen a horse who you feel has really excelled, but you just don't know what the others could produce who you've yet to see. And so for me to talk about horses like Magical Zoe, Cougar, Brazil Pied Piper, the horses like that, Zarak the Brave, Hermes Allen, when we don't know their real opposition. I mean, I will talk about Hermes Allen a bit more, but talking about them when you don't know the possible opposition is really difficult. If you were really impressed with one of these horses and you want to back them, then that's fine. Me, I'd like to see more from the others before I make my opinion. So I will talk about some of the more high profile horses who made their debuts or seasonal reappearances, and we'll talk about those, and then we'll talk about the two eye catchers later in the video. So a very high profile runner was American Mike, making his hurdles debut over 2 miles 6, and it was a perfectly adequate performance. I'd say, like a few other Elliott horses, I was slightly underwhelmed, although I don't know why really. He did everything he needed to do. He quickened away nicely. I think probably because he's 5 for the Ballymore and 7s for the Bartlett. You don't know where he's going. I feel Gordon's going to push away from the Bartlett after what happened with Gentle last season, and essentially the same ownership as well for the horse. Is he fast enough to win a Ballymore? Will he be able to beat, should Facile Vega go here, would he beat Facile Vega this season? It's hard to say at the moment, and hard to make a real judgment on that sort of horse. So for me, you have to leave American Mike at the moment. There was nothing wrong with his debut, and I thought he was quite good. Two other high-profile horses from Elliott's yard were jumpers, who I want to talk about. I thought Mighty Potter and Three Stripe Life both won reasonably well. Would Three Stripe Life have won without the fall of Grand Jury? I think that's debatable. I think he might just have won, but it would have been a tough race. I would have liked to have seen that race develop more and see how Three Stripe Life finished out his race. Would he have pulled back Grand Jury? Because Henry de Bromhead's horses are really flying at the moment, and it would have been an interesting finish. I think he would have, and I think he could be a Brown Advisory horse, Three Stripe Life, although I think the Drinmore will be his next stop. Mighty Potter, where Three Stripe Life made adjustments to get his feet in the right place, I think Mighty Potter just made mistakes, and with his previous run in the Supreme as well, I'd be prepared to be really overlooking Mighty Potter at the moment for Cheltenham Festival 2023. He's shown a dislike for the track, and he's made mistakes I didn't like in his win. So at the moment, Mighty Potter's got a lot of making up to do with me. For me to be thinking about him for Cheltenham. Three Stripe Life, I think we'll see more next time out. The race didn't tell us much because of Grand Jury's fall, but he was good. He fiddled a couple of fences really nicely. I quite liked him, but I have to say, in the eye catchers, you'll probably hear me glowing about a horse who I probably wouldn't have thought I'd be glowing about. Envoy Allen won I don't know, a Madeline race really. I'm not convinced Galvin was at top form. Kemboy's on the decline now, and was this just his moment in the sun at a track he loves? I'm not convinced he can win a Gold Cup. I'd need to see a lot more, and I don't even know if I'd back him for a King George. Very worrying to see Aloho missing the King George. And I have to say, at the moment, I'd be seriously considering the 7-1 Galopin des Champs for the Ryanair, because I've always wondered if he will stay the Gold Cup distance. This would be a great chance for him to pick up a Cheltenham race. He'd stay 2 miles forward, no bother, and I don't see much opposition to him. The only opposition he'd have was Allaho, and if Allaho maybe isn't going to get there, I would see Galopin des Champs as perhaps a bet at 7-1. That's just an aside from going through these horses, but it is worrying to see Allaho out of the King George, and I would be looking for alternatives in the Ryanair at the moment, because if he is ruled out, the market is just going to collapse. And I would say that Galopin des Champs at 7-1 would be something I would seriously consider at the moment. So the Les Malin has to be talked about. It was a race where Bob Ollinger came back, and if Home by the Lee hadn't come out and ran an astounding race, really, everyone would be talking about Bob Ollinger now as a Stayers hurdle real contender. He'd probably only be about 9-4, 5-2 if Home by the Lee hadn't run. You'd have to see another run or two like this from Home by the Lee to think that he's really improved this match. It's disappointing that Bob Ollinger didn't appear to see it out. Did he just get tired? Has he got a problem that he doesn't see out his races that well? I think Floating Porter was more out for a run than anything else. I'm not too disappointed that giving away £9 he's run like this. He lost in the Les Malin last season, although he fell. I think it'll all be geared around the Stayers hurdle for Floating Porter, and I'm still prepared to forgive this defeat. He's still my Stayers hurdle hopeful, although I'm sure backers of Blazing Khal will be quietly smiling to themselves that they've got a good price. But like I've said, I can't back a horse who's had injury problems and needs to show me that he's totally clear of those problems, not once, but by running at least twice and being sound after the races. Home by the Lee, yeah, you have to see it again. Bob Ollinger, was he a weak finisher? Was he not quite fit? Arstill Bob ran well, but you'd have to hope that he was also just gaining fitness from this run. I'm still with Floating Porter for the Stayers hurdle. So that's just a quick rundown of some of the horses who've run over the past 10 days who are Cheltenham hopefuls. Like I said, Hermes Allen. His performance was really taking. It's just what's he beaten and what may he have to face further in the future. It's like all these horses I mentioned earlier, like Sarak, the Brave, Magical Zoe, Pied Piper, Brazil. Are they going to be good enough when the real top-notchers come out? And it's similar to Hermes Allen. There was a lot of noise after him. He beat an Elliott horse and a Malin's horse. It's just whether they are the top-notchers. Clearly, Music Drive wouldn't be anywhere near the level of American Mike. And I'm sure Hibrisco isn't anywhere near the level even of James's Gate, and certainly not close to Facile Vega. So, although Hermes Allen has been impressive in this race, he's still got to climb 2 more rungs of the ladder. But his hurdling was really good. He looked really quick. And he's an exciting prospect going forward. It's just where does he fit into the jigsaw at the moment. And now I'll just get on to my 2 eye catchers, one of which people will probably be sick of hearing about from me, and they'll probably be quite surprised I've put it in the eye catcher section. So the biggest eye catcher for me over the past 10 days, and it's a horse that people are going to go, oh no, not again with me about, because last season I did think this was going to be a good hurdler, and the season ended on a very, very poor note. But Hollow Games' Beginner's Chase win was deeply impressive. I watched it at first, I thought, wow, that was impressive. I'll have to watch that again to make sure I've seen what I thought I saw. Watched it again. He did jump slightly out to his right the first couple of fences, but it was when he was under, pressure to have good jumps that he's been just so quick, so accurate. And Colonel Mustard's not a mug. third in the county hurdle last season. I thought this was a taking performance. Now, there was non-triers in the race. The two McManus horses haven't been off a jot in the race. And there were others. But this was still a taking performance. People will think that, yeah, Flame Bearer being out. Of course, it made it easier. But I was taking with Hollow Games. Really, really taking with Hollow Games in this race. I liked his performance. Now, would he even go for the Arkle? But he's 10 to 1 with William Hill for any race at Cheltenham, and that is tempting me. Now, it's not tempting me to put it up as a bet on the videos, but it's tempting me because I was really, really taken with this, and I'll go as far as to say that I think Hollow Games could be the top chasing novice at Calantra this season. Now, that's a big statement considering they've got Mighty Potter and Three Stripe Life, who are considered by most to be way ahead of Hollow Games, but I was deeply taken with Hollow Games' performance. I could have him wrong again. I could be barking up the wrong tree for the second season in a row, but I thought Hollow Games was really impressive. The other horse who really impressed me, and although people are talking about the win, I think they still believe that the Dysart Dynamos and the Appreciate It's and the John Bonds and the El Fabiolas are going to be better than this horse. And of course it's strange to see Banbridge going down in distance after winning a Martin Pipe, where most horses go up in distance after that. But I was really impressed with his win at Cheltenham. I thought he did it really nicely. He had horses out their comfort zones early. Glory and Fortune was still going reasonably well, but for me Banbridge would have beaten him. This is a horse who stays quite well. You have to do that in the Arkle. His jumping's good. He puts himself right when he's not quite got a stride to a fence. And I just thought, 14 to 1, he's not the worst outsider in the Arkle. Because a lot of these horses have it to prove. John Bond's price is 7 to 2. Now, he's out this week, but he's 7 to 2 for an Arkle. He's got a run against Monmiral. That won't be an easy race. El Fabiolo's the same horse as John Bond on Aintree form. Appreciate It's got it to prove after being off for virtually a whole season and not running that well in the Champion Hurdle. Dysart Dynamo, end of last season, blotted his copybook. So Banbridge at 14 to 1 is no forlorn hope for me. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns out to be better than a 14 to 1 shot for the Arkle. A lot of people think he'll go to the Turners or a race similar to that. But they were the two eye catchers for me. I've probably gone down the rabbit hole once too often with Hollow Games, but I was deeply impressed. And I think Banbridge was better than a 14 to 1 shot for the Arkle on the performance I watched. The only other horse to mention is to make you aware that, with Allaho being out and, you may want to sort of believe that Willie Mann's hype that he's going to come back. But I would be looking seriously at the 7 to 1 Galopin des Champs for the Ryanair with the news that Allaho may not run until Cheltenham, and you've got no guarantee now that he will run. So that's all from me this week. My two eye catchers, Hollow Games and Banbridge. Wanted to mention about Galopin des Champs, although I could have that wrong as well. And like I say in these videos, it's just my opinion, and I can only give you my opinion. So thanks for watching. Have a great week. The World Cup starts, and that's going to be, a great show no matter, where it's been held. It's exciting. A lot of matches to watch. I know you're watching this video for the horse racing, and I will be keeping my eye on the horse racing as well. John Bond's out tomorrow. And lots of good horses this week. A Plutard the Gold Cup winner runs as well. So lots to look forward to. But I hope you have a good week. I'll be back to you next Monday or Tuesday. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.